What's up everyone, it's Caddy with MoneyVest. So today is my last day here in London. I am flying back to Dubai tomorrow, so I will be back in my home office, back to market updates, and back to, of course, doing more videos on individual stocks that you guys have been requesting. So bear with me just one more day. I've been traveling. I've been kind of crazed out with the entire experience over the last 4 to 5 days. It was supposed to be a very, very quick trip, but to London, but of course a lot has happened in the last again 4 to 5 days here with so many rebookings, and as I mentioned in my previous videos, there's a lot that we have had to deal with, and for that reason it's been a little bit more unorganized. But nonetheless, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Make sure that you drop a like and of course subscribe to the channel if you're just joining us for the first time. And again, links to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below if you're interested in joining us and of course getting access to all the members only private videos, including all the trade alerts and trade ideas and options alerts, as well as our private community and the MoneyVest website here fairly soon that we're going to be doing the beta launch for all the members. So links going to be down below. So markets here basically flat, so not really going anywhere. We did have Jerome Powell's speech. We do have the unemployment numbers coming out on Friday, so that is still going to be on deck, although I will be flying out on Friday, so I may not be able to cover it live because I'll have a full flight. Actually, the unemployment numbers will come out when I will be in my flight here, but nonetheless, tomorrow, very, very unemployment numbers. We've already talked about this in my previous videos, and I will do an update in the Discord. I'll send out an update on what numbers to look forward to and what the market reactions might look like after the unemployment numbers come out. But nonetheless, very, very flat day. NASDAQ here, 16,200, up 23 basis points. S&P 500 up to 5,200. And the Dow Jones here slightly down. Now, Powell reaffirmed in a speech on Wednesday that the Federal Reserve will stick to its wait-and-see approach as it considers when to start cutting rates, given the continued strength of the U.S. economy and recent higher-than-expected inflation data. Earlier on Wednesday, data from Institute of Supply Management showed that non-manufacturing PMI declined for a second straight month to 51.4, down from 52.6, but it's still above 50, which does, again, continues to show some type of expansion with the Purchasers Managers Index. As it says, a reading above 50 indicates growth in the services industry, which accounts for more than 2/3 of the economy, and the data still indicates the U.S. economy continues to expand, and it all has to do with the Federal Reserve and the market expectations for a rate cut being pushed off. I think that's really what is weighing on the market here, and has been for at least a couple of days, says Tim Grisky, portfolio strategist at Ingalls and Snyder in New York. So, you know, we've already talked about the Federal Reserve's emphasis on the need for more evidence, as inflation continues to come down, but they want to see more data. They want to get that greater confidence and more good data in order to make a decision whether it's appropriate for them to start cutting interest rates. And, you know, it's kind of funny that a lot of the things that we were talking about, let's say back in 2023, are what's being covered now in the media, and a lot of people are talking about it because, you know, we did talk about how the Federal Reserve needs an incentive, right? The Federal Reserve is not going to start cutting rates just because, they wake up one day and they're like, you know what, let's just start cutting interest rates today. No, it doesn't work like that. The Federal Reserve needs a reason to pivot. They need a reason to go from QT to QE, and rate cuts are a part of quantitative easing. And until they get that reason, they're not going to change or pivot or shift their overall strategy. So for that reason, I think we have to be very much aware of where the Federal Reserve is coming from and what Jerome Powell has consistently told us. And he's mentioned that, you know, they're going to be data driven, they're going to be evidence based, meaning that they want to continue to see inflation, come down. And at the same time, if the economy is strong, that's a plus point because then the economy can continue to handle higher interest rates for longer. So that's another thing that the Federal Reserve is focusing on. And right now we're in a situation where the economy is strong, unemployment is strong, inflation is coming down, but not at the same rate. And that's exactly why the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell are kind of hesitant to starting cutting rates here fairly soon. I think it's going to take some time. We may not get 3 rate cuts. We may only get 2 rate cuts, or at the least we may only get 1 rate cut. But that's exactly what we need to be prepared for from a market expectation standpoint. So the Fed's preferred inflation measure, which came out over the weekend, so PCE, personal consumption expenditure, showed a 12-month rate of 2.5% for February, or 2.8% for pivotal core measure that excludes for food and energy. Virtually all other inflation gauges show rates excess of 3%, And again, recent readings on both job gains and inflation have come in higher than expected, Powell said. And the recent data do not, however, materially change the overall picture, which continues to be one of the solid growth, a strong but rebalancing labor market, and inflation moving downwards towards 2% on a sometimes bumpy path is what we're also witnessing. So this right here was the entire market. So Netflix pushing higher, Meta pushing higher, Broadcom, Micron also doing well. We did have NVIDIA, Microsoft selling off a little bit. Apple, Google, Amazon were mostly flat but pushed higher. Tesla rebounding a little bit, pushing up over 1%. And we did have consumer defensives like Procter & Gamble, Eli Lilly selling off a little bit. Johnson & Johnson, AbbVie also pulling back. But financials and a little bit auto manufacturers also rolling over. This right here again is the entire market. So again, most sectors were green except for utilities and consumer defensives. In the last 1 week, again, we have a little bit of a split market with energy, materials, utilities, communication services, all of them pushing higher, with technology, cyclical, healthcare, and defensives pulling back. And in the last 1 month, again, we've got a very split market with energy, comm services, materials all pushing higher, with technology, healthcare, and real estate being the underperformer in the last 1 month. Coffee prices, wheat prices, orange juice, lean hogs, copper, platinum all pushing higher, with cocoa, lumber prices, rough rice, volatility, and feeder cattle pulling back. Bitcoin just over 66,000 and Ether just over 3,300 as well. So if you come back over to the market here, volatility back up to over 14. So we're just not able to crack above this level of 15. Even yesterday, we got up to as high as 15.2, then got sold right back down. So we're just not able to break above this level. But the moment we do, right? So the moment this happens, when we break out over this 15, then you better believe it, there's going to be some more volatility. There's going to be some more disruption in the market, possibly some more opportunities. And of course, the VIX is high. It is time to buy. That continues to hold true, and we're going to be watching that 18 to 20 levels here for the volatility. But we really need to see that VIX crack above 15 levels. We haven't seen that in a very long time. The last time VIX was trading above 15 was before November of 2023. So it's been a very, very long time since the VIX has traded above 15 for a consistent basis, right? We've still broken above. I mean, we got up to over 18 here in the middle of February, but we haven't stayed there for very long. We usually just come back down the following day, meaning volatility is low and the dips are continuing getting bought up here fairly soon. So the moment we see a more persistent breakout for the volatility above 15, you just got to be super ready for that in the future. Talking a little bit about Bitcoin here. So again, consolidating sideways. So really just at this resistance, at this red rectangle that we have discussed in our previous videos. And of course, Ether also continues to trade sideways here. Resistance is going to stay up roughly here at 35.41, with a support level sitting right here at 3,051 for Ether as well. Moving over to crude oil. Crude oil is also something that is going to be super important for us to discuss, because it is, of course, it's going to dictate where inflation goes, and it has been pushing higher, unfortunately. So what you'll notice is that crude oil is now at $85 a barrel. And since 2024 started, it has rallied quite a bit of over 22%. So of course, there's going to be more and more inflation pressure from an inflation pressure standpoint, because crude oil continues to move higher. So that is something to, of course, keep in mind in future inflation reads, because if crude oil continues to move up, indirectly, that's going to be affecting a lot of other prices for goods and services. Now, coming over to Apple first, and Apple here on the day was slightly flat, down about, actually up 48 basis points. Pre-market, it's slightly flat as well. On the daily chart, again, you'll continue to notice that we're consolidating sideways in that range. We are seeing some institutional involvement every so often. So there are some yellow bars suggesting that, okay, there's some big orders coming in. There's L3, like Banker Oscillator, suggesting for Wills somewhat stepping in here at the support, and rightly so, because, Apple is down quite a bit from its all-time highs. I mean, 15% for Apple is no joke because of the market cap and the size of the company. And right now it's just trading at that support, consolidating in that green range, green rectangle. And that next resistance and target is going to be 196, 199 for Apple moving forward. And of course, below that, we're going to be watching this tier 2 level of support and this area of demand in the 150s for this company. Talking about Amazon, Amazon continues to power through, pushing higher, up almost 1% yesterday. Pre-market up 62 basis points. Next resistance and target is going to be 188, 189 for Amazon, and support level is going to stay up roughly at 178 for the company. So very, very nice, consistent uptrend of higher highs and higher lows. And again, resistance is going to stay up roughly all the way up to 187. Support level down to 178, down to as low as 158 for Amazon as well. Tesla, we've got a couple things to talk about. I will be doing a separate, more dedicated video on Tesla. There was a bear rating that came out with a Tesla's price per share valued at $14 per share. So I will be doing a more separate, more dedicated and detailed analysis on Tesla here. But this right here, of course, next resistance and target is going to be closer to 176 for the company, and of course all the way up to this red rectangle sitting between 205 and 210s. We've talked about this in our previous videos, and of course a massive amount of support sitting in the 150s for Tesla as well. But this right here, overall downtrend, the pattern, the momentum has been very, very weak and bearish for Tesla, unfortunately. Talking about PayPal, and PayPal here still has given some hope because we've got a huge resistance and a target level sitting at $68, and PayPal needs to break out above this level in order for it to see more upside. So if it does, that's great. If it doesn't, then of course we're potentially going to continue to get rejected at that area of supply and consolidate sideways in the meantime. Next up, we've got Visa, and Visa here has obviously been selling off, rightly so, because it was incredibly overbought. We're starting to see a lot of selling pressure. RSI, MACD, L3 banker oscillator, everything's been moving downwards, and support level for Visa is going to stay put down to 273 at the moment. So 273, 275. Very, very important level of support to watch for Visa. Talking about NVIDIA, and NVIDIA basically flat here, continues to consolidate sideways in that range between 845 and 971. So really we're trading sideways at the moment, and that 50 SMA is going to be the one to watch at 787, 790 as a very important level of support, as we have continued to validate level a couple times since December of 2023. And of course, we've got a more short-term moving average as well. I believe that's going to be the 21 EMA, and right now NVIDIA is just kind of trading right above that 21 EMA, and it's going to be that make it or break it moment, whether it breaks down below that level or it continues to validate that level. Talking about advanced micro devices, and AMD here consolidating sideways, trading below the moving averages, so that is something to keep in mind, but up 1% yesterday. And very important support level is going to stay put at 164, 165 for AMD at the moment here. So that's going to be that level to keep in mind for advanced micro devices. Talking a little bit about Meta platforms, and Meta here pushing higher very nicely, up over 1.88%. Pre-market up another 1.2%. So next resistance and target is going to be $518 per share for Meta. So this right here is going to be that level to keep in mind, and the support level, of course, inside this green rectangle and this area of demand, area of support between 450 and 475 for Meta platforms. So those right there are going to be some levels to keep in mind for Meta moving forward. Netflix, on the other hand, also pushing higher very nicely, 2.5% gain on the day, but this right here is going to be that resistance to keep in mind at 631, with of course a support level staying put roughly in the 600, so low 600s, so 590s. That's going to be a reasonable support to keep in mind over here for Netflix. Talking about Google here, and Google continues to power through, pushing higher 32 basis points, very much green on the day, and of course pre-market rolling over just a little bit down, about 0.5%. It is a little bit overbought now, considering, look at that, look at the amount of momentum we've seen for Google, so much price action following through, RSI almost 70, MACD, and of course L3 banker oscillator, everything moving up in that direction. So again, keep in mind that we are approaching very overbought levels. Of course, it can go higher, but the risk reward is very unfavorable at these prices for Google at the moment, and the risk and the trade idea is completely over because of our target getting achieved. So again, link's going to be down below if you want to join, and of course get access to all the trade alerts and the ideas as well. We'd love to have you on board. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me personally. So support level for Microsoft staying put inside this green rectangle, and that's going to be at $397, close to $400 per share. And of course, we're seeing a huge breakout to the upside, coming back down to that 21 EMA of that support, and that resistance and that target's going to be closer to over here at $430 for Microsoft once again. So lots of consolidation, and that moving averages all the way down to that support are going to be some levels to keep in mind for this company. And finally, we got Enphase and Costco, and Enphase here pushing higher very nicely, up over 4.5%, validating that support. We have a trade idea on Enphase at the moment. So again, if you want to access all the trade ideas and what stocks I'm sharing for the Discord members to trade on, link's going to be down below. And support level for Enphase is going to be $108, resistance all the way up to 137 for the company as well. And then finally, we come over to Costco. Costco continues to sell off, rightly so, because it was incredibly overbought and the valuation was very much high for this company as well. So next support level is going to be down to 677 for the company. So hope you all enjoyed this video and a complete update on the markets here. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Again, tomorrow we've got the very, very important unemployment numbers coming out. We just had the FOMC meeting, of course, last month, and of course the Federal Reserve testimony and the speeches and the monetary policy discussions. There's been a lot of Jerome Powell over the last 2 to 3 weeks here, and of course Tesla video will be coming out later today as well. So hope you all enjoyed this video, found it helpful. Make sure that you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Links to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below. Happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.